UFC 276. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Main event is Adesanya, Cannonier, co-main, the trilogy between Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. We got a lot of great action to talk about. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and share the video as well. Let's jump right into the first one. Jessica Rose Clark versus Julia Stoliarenko. I'm going to be going Rose Clark here, but it's not like I love a pick either way. I feel like you look at the matchup, both girls are lower tier in the women's bantamweight division. Rose Clark has like decent forward pressure and is strong in the clinch, looks to grapple a lot. The fight IQ is not great. Stoliarenko, I do think, is a bit better of a striker. Competitive on the floor, but I see her getting out grappled by Rose Clark and even just worn on against the cage a lot here. Also, one thing I like about Stoliarenko, which in the past has given me somewhat confidence on her, is she's fought in Lethwei. But she hasn't been able to put it together in the UFC. She's 0-4 in the octagon. Jessica Rose Clark, at the very least, has wins. The last one was against Stephanie Yeager, ends up losing the fight. But it's because she fought like a moron. She went and tried to grapple with the judoka and then gets submitted. In this matchup, I think it's competitive, but the cage control with the clinch from Rose Clark probably leads her to the win. I'll take Jessica Rose Clark on a decision. I do want to pull up the odds for this fight. Rose Clark is a slight favorite at best value. It's -125. Stoliarenko +125. I have little interest in betting this fight. I feel like if there is a touch on this one, it could be an over, but I'm not feeling money lines here. I'm going to pick Rose Clark, though, by decision over Stoliarenko, and I think it's going to be competitive, but going the favor of Rose Clark. Let's jump to the next one. Brad Tavares versus Dricus du Plessis. I like Dricus in this fight. I'm picking him. He's really dangerous standing. Power in the hands, good straight shots. Brad Tavares is a really well-rounded generalist. He does everything pretty decently. But the peak right now is Dricus. He's on the way up. Tavares, he's leveled out. I mean, I don't see Tavares ever competing, towards the top of the weight class. You know that he's always going to be like a, back-end top 15 guy. He's got a well-rounded skill set. Fairly durable, but we have seen him finished a few times. Dricus is a finisher. You look at the past 4 wins, each one of them by finish. 3 of them are by KO. Both the UFC wins for Dricus are by knockout. I'm not going to go against what I see, and I'm going Dricus by KO. I think he can hurt Brad Tavares with the hands. Tavares has more of the Muay Thai style of striking, but he's not really that quick. I think as he's coming inside on Dricus, or even if Dricus is pressuring him, I could see Tavares getting caught with a really big straight. Dricus hits hard. Also with Dricus, the ground game is solid as well. It's not like he's a one-trick pony and can only sit and strike. He's dangerous on the floor too. I'm going to pick Dricus du Plessis to win by KO. If I have to go around, I'm going to give you second round. Now looking at the lines here, Dricus and Tavares are near pick'ems. You're looking at +101 for Dricus. Tavares -102. So realistically, it's a pick'ems fight with near even odds between these two. I think Dricus has a pretty real shot here to win, and I am going to bank on the KO against really the top-level gatekeeper. If Dricus loses this fight, okay, he's not ready for that upper echelon here at 185, because Brad Tavares is the ultimate gatekeeper. He's a solid fighter, but let's be real, that's what he is. Dricus for the win. I'm going knockout. Next fight, ladies going after it. Jessica I versus Maycee Barber. Excuse me. I'm picking Maycee Barber. I think that her athleticism, her physical strength, and grappling are going to be a difference maker. Jessica I is a decent stand-up fighter, but she's on the way down. I mean, the prime is, she's going this way. She got 3 losses in a row. You look at her game, she does have okay hands, a lot of head movement, but she's not the quickest, and I do think at times she really misses far from like strikes out of range. And even I feel like she's off balance at some moments. Maycee Barber, I think, is going to be constantly improving, which is another thing to note for a fighter just at 24. Each time you see them, I mean, they could be way better than the last. And I mean, she's already going to be difficult for eye. You have Southpaw Maycee Barber, good athleticism, good ground game, physically strong girl. I feel like Maycee has a legit shot to take this one and do it by a decision. It's going to be Maycee Barber for the win. I mean, even you look at the age, 35, Jessica Eye, 24, Maycee Barber. It's one's career going like this, one's more going like this, and I think Maycee Barber overtakes her here. But I will say the lines are too wide. Minus 200 for Barber, Eye plus 196. Minus 200 for Maycee Barber just seems wide to me. Like, I don't think it needs to be that wide. I think that minus 150 is fair. Like, Jessica Eye still has fought for a world title. She's been in there with top competition. I know she's on a rough 3-fight losing streak, but let's be real. Barber should be 1-3 in her last 4, but she was gifted a controversial decision over Miranda Maverick. I'm going to pick Barber. I think she gets it done. I'm going to pick her by a decision. Don't love the odds, but I see hand raised for Maycee here over Jessica Evil Eye, who I do think is towards the twilight of her career. Let's get to this next one, Uriah Hall and André Muniz. I'm going to pick André Muniz, and I don't think it'll be close. Uriah Hall is an explosive and dangerous striker, certainly, but you get him to the floor, and you match him now, André Muniz on top of him, or even if he's on top of Muniz. If the fight is on the mat, he is in hot water. I mean, I think that he's going to get submitted in this fight. I feel like he's swimming with a shark on the floor with Muniz, and I just have a hard time seeing this fight only taking place standing. I mean, Muniz actually has really good level changes. Wouldn't be shocked if he pulled guard. Uriah Hall at the height disadvantage by only an inch. And I mean, both guys have kind of freakishly long arms because Uriah Hall's got a 79.5-inch reach, Muniz at 78. I will say, I don't think Muniz has bad striking. He's got a pretty decent kickboxing style. He's got okay hands, especially more for, you know, a grappling purist. But he's extremely dangerous with his arm bars. Uriah Hall, I think, has to watch for that arm bar. You look at what Muniz did to Jacare's arm. This guy is the boogeyman of 185. I mean, if you look at a lot of the top guys, you look at the champ, you look at top contenders, there's not like a killer grappler towards the top. Somebody like, yeah, there's Marvin Vettori, but he's not a killer grappler. He's a grinding grappler. There's Derek Brunson. He's a grinding wrestler. André Muniz is a submission ace. And I really feel like he's going to get the win here. And I think there's a shot that Muniz could work his way to that upper echelon of the weight class. Beating Uriah Hall is essential, and I'm going to pick him by submission. I think first or second round is pretty likely here. Uriah Hall's best shot, obviously, is landing, I think, an excellent kick to the jaw, maybe a spinning back kick. We see some prime Hall, like the Ultimate Fighter days, but I don't think that happens. Muniz minus 240, Hall plus 231. Strong favorite status towards Muniz, but rightfully so. I will be all over the submission prop as soon as it drops. I just don't see Uriah Hall not on the floor with Muniz at some point. I mean, Uriah Hall's got to just start super quick and just unload everything from the moment that the fight starts. But I'll be honest, Uriah Hall to me has looked flatter in recent fights. Doesn't have that crazy explosiveness. And I mean, I guess he is kind of a critical underperformer, at least at some points of his career. And I think André Muniz is just peaking. It's his time, not Uriah's. I'm going André Muniz win by submission over Uriah Hall. Real up-and-coming middleweight to watch. Cowboy Cerrone versus Jim Miller 2. I'm going to be reluctantly picking Jim Miller. Cowboy crushed him in the first fight. I went back and rewatched their original fight, and I'm like, damn, Cowboy has aged badly. You look at Jim Miller, I don't think he's aged much. Like, he's still competing with young guys. He still looks good out there. I don't know if Cowboy Cerrone is competitive with Nicholas Mota. I don't know if he is, and Jim Miller knocked him out. I think being at 170, that's just my only question mark I really have for Jim Miller here. Prime Cerrone was a different beast, but when you look at the old footage of Cerrone, quick, precise, confident, loving to fight when he fought Jim Miller. This is 2016. And then you look at the Alex Morono fight, he don't have it anymore. And I think Jim Miller still has it. I'm going to go Jim Miller by KO. He's got pretty good overhands, and he touched up Cowboy a bit in the past. Also, Jim Miller's a southpaw. Cerrone, those knees to the body were working really well in the first fight. I think he's got to get back to him. He got a high kick knockout. Can he really replicate that high kick? I guess we'll find out. He's going to have to try. Because that's really the best method of victory for Cerrone is high kicks. Look at the lines. They're ugly wide. Cerrone is a dog. A real dog here. He's sitting at... What, do they not have the official odds up here? They got Bobby Green, Jim Miller's odds still up? That's not correct. Hold on real quick. We gotta get these proper odds. What's going on here? Cowboy Cerrone is plus 180. Jim Miller minus 210. So the line favors Jim Miller by a fair margin. And I do think he's going to get his hand raised. I feel like he's getting the knockout. His hands are going to get this one done. Cerrone's going to bed here. I really feel like it might be in the first or second. It's just, it's not Cowboy anymore. It's just Donald Cerrone. Cowboy, no longer. I just don't think at this point he's there anymore. I just feel like he's lost the touch, and Jim Miller has got fire left, and I've loved what I've seen from him lately. He's getting the KO over Cowboy Cerrone here. Let's keep running up. Next matchup is Ian Garry and Gabe Green. I do think Ian Garry might be a bit overrated. He's the pick, though. You look at his fight against Darion Weeks, was able to get a decision. He's young. Like, I don't want to, sell him badly. He's 24 years of age. He's a young fighter with a lot of time to grow. But I don't think he's going to be fighting for a belt in the next 2 years type of thing. I feel like he's going to need some time to develop, right? He's going to need to marinate his skill set for a while. Gabe Green, though, is a powerhouse. Very durable guy. Physically strong, hard hitter, very good hooks inside, rips the body well. Ian Garry, more precise kickboxer from range. He does have a tricky style from distance. Pretty resistant with takedown defense and clinch defense. I do think Ian Garry can outwork Gabe Green over the three. But I don't love it. I mean, if you're all over Ian Garry thinking he's an absolute lock this week, I don't know about that. He's a rangy striker, but Gabe Green hits hard. The traps. Look at the traps on Gabe Green. This guy's built to take damage. And if he hits Ian Garry, he definitely could hurt him. I think Ian's a very good talent right now. And I'm picking Ian Garry by decision. But Gabe Green could be a live underdog here. Something definitely to consider as we get closer to the fights. We'll see maybe at the face-offs, but I've always been a little bit, I don't want to say doubtful, but I have been. I've always been fairly doubtful of Ian Garry, and Gabe Green's not an easy out, but I'm going to still ride with Ian Garry on a decision. Odds, minus 147 Garry, Green plus 141. I just don't think Gabe Green is going to have like a ton of success. I think he's still going to be kept at distance a bit. I think he's going to have moments where he gets inside and lands, but I think Ian Garry's just going to land a bit more of the significant strikes. But I just feel like in this fight, there's not going to be any like huge significant moments on either side with damage. I'm going Ian Garry by a decision. Let's jump to the next one. Robbie Lawler and Bryan Barberena. I'm picking Robbie Lawler. Bryan Barberena's scrappy as hell. And I feel like this is great, like, towards end of career matchmaking for Robbie Lawler. You look at the Diaz fight for Robbie. He came out really hard early. Showed a lot of power in the hands still. He's a dangerous fighter. Southpaw versus Southpaw, too, with this Bryan Barberena matchup, which I feel like that makes things interesting. Barberena is a very scrappy, brawling style. He has pretty good straight punches and hooks when he's trying to enter range. He does tend to be a little bit awkward from the outside. Robbie Lawler, I think, like when you look at their primes, far better than Bryan Barberena. Barberena never really had an elite prime. He's always just been mid-tier. I think Robbie Lawler should still win the fight at 40 years of age, but I do think Barberena is going to be in his face for the whole thing. And it'll be a fight. I'm going to pick Robbie Lawler to win, and I'm leaning it towards a decision, actually, which sucks to say, especially with two brawlers like this. But Barberena can take a shot, man. And I think Robbie Lawler can eat anything Barberena throws at him. I don't see Barberena as too hard of a puncher. He throws a lot of pop into his shots, but he's more of a peppering striker, whereas Robbie Lawler throws with massive intent. I could see him hurting Barberena a bit, and that just causing Barberena to be a little more gun-shy at moments. I'm going to pick Lawler, though. Decision. Odds-wise, fairly close. -118 for Lawler. Barberena +113. Robbie's the pick, and I think he'll still look pretty decent out there, but win by a decision here. The next one, featured prelim. Brad Riddell versus Jalin Turner. I'm picking Jalin Turner because I think he's the superior mixed martial artist. Brad Riddell's a pretty good striker. Like, I guess pretty good's probably an understatement. He's a pretty damn good striker. Kickboxer, strong base, has that Thai striking style, tends to be very square. I feel like Jalin Turner has more that hybrid MMA kickboxing style. I think he's the faster guy between the two. Also, Turner's a southpaw. Big height advantage, 6'3" to 5'7". Reach edge, 75.5 inches to 71. Who knows how accurate that reach that is, but I will say I don't think that the reach this way matters all that much. It's about the reach that way with the fist, and I feel like Jalin Turner has longer arms by a good amount, and I think he's going to be touching up Brad Riddell from distance. I wouldn't be shocked if he attempts to mix in some takedowns here. I just feel like Jalin Turner's a problem right now. He's really starting to get into that ebb and flow. Good front kicks, too. It's good straight shots overall. For Brad Riddell, I think it's going to be like you have to close that distance, but I feel like Turner might be comfortable inside and end up mixing in takedowns from there. So I'm going to ride with Jalin Turner to win, leaning it by a decision. Even though Turner's been a hell of a finisher, you got to respect the Riddell durability and just overall game because he's not an easy out. Now, looking towards the line, this is another near pick'em's fight. -115 Turner, Riddell +108. I think Jalin Turner's going to get his hand raised. I just feel that he is the more versatile mixed martial artist, and I see him beating Brad Riddell here. Let's jump towards the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe to the channel. It's Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Pedro Munhoz. I like the Sugar Show. I think Sean O'Malley wins, and I actually think he's gonna knock Pedro Munhoz out. Munhoz is 5'6", O'Malley's 5'11". You see a solid reach advantage for O'Malley, 72 inches to 65. He's got a huge range edge. Munhoz is also 35 years of age. Sean O'Malley's a really dangerous striker, and I know people have said he's fragile. He does have a bit of fragile legs, right? His lower extremities tend to get injured a bit easier than maybe they should. But listen to this. If Pedro Munhoz is going to be ripping low kicks at Sean O'Malley, why wouldn't Sean O'Malley be able to just touch his chin? That reach advantage is a big factor here. If these guys are the same height with the same skill sets, okay, maybe it's a different fight. But Sean O'Malley's so much longer, I think that as Munhoz looks for low kicks, he's going to get caught by straight punches. And I see O'Malley boxing Munhoz's face off. He's a level above with the hands, and I see him knocking Munhoz out. I'm going Sean O'Malley by KO. I'm kind of thinking first round. Think it could also be second round. And I think he's going to impress a ton of people, and we're going to be like, oh shit, Sean O'Malley is really that good. I really think he is that good. Pedro Munhoz is gritty, tough, really solid fighter. Great low kicks, though. The calf kicks of Pedro Munhoz are some of the best in the game. But that won't be enough, especially with the reach differential here. Maybe look for takedowns, but O'Malley's not going to be easy to get a hold of. His footwork's excellent. Especially we got the big cage too. O'Malley's going to flow on this card. Trust me, this is his big moment. He's also so much younger. Munhoz 35, O'Malley 27. It's bantamweight. O'Malley's on the way up. Munhoz 1-4 in the last 5. More so on the way down. Sean O'Malley by knockout is the official pick. Looking at the line, Sean O'Malley's a -240 favorite. Munhoz the +229 dog. We're going Sean O'Malley confidently by KO. Sean Strickland versus Alex Pereira. I'm going to be picking Alex Pereira, which surprises me because I thought I'd be on Sean Strickland. But watching film, thinking about the matchup more, Alex Pereira is just so much more violent, so much more dangerous. Sean Strickland's a peppering puncher. He's got that slickster style. He's going to stand in your face. And I mean, he's a violent individual. He's nutty. He likes to spar all the time. But he doesn't really damage people all that much in the fights. I mean, what's the last KO win? Brendan Allen? You're beating Brendan Allen by knockout's not all that impressive. I mean, it's impressive, but for a contender, number one contender fight, that isn't like, oh my God. You look at the last one against Hermanson, Sean Strickland, I mean, he said it himself. He fought like a, you know what? Like, he didn't bring it. I think Alex Pereira is going to put the heat on him. I do think it's a competitive fight. And I think Pereira is going to be in the face of Strickland. Strickland's going to look to wrestle, and what's going to happen is I think he's going to be surprised at the resistance from Alex Pereira. And I don't see Sean Strickland having the ability to just out-wrestle Alex Pereira for 3 rounds and put on like a dominant grappling performance. That's just not his style. I don't expect him to just be able to change his game. I think he's going to be forced to strike a bit. Pereira's going to land damaging strikes. Sean Strickland is going to try to land more peppering shots, but the hands of Pereira are too dangerous. He's going to get off multi-shot combos. He's going to have a big advantage from range. His kicks are excellent, super good with front kicks up the center, fast hands, closes distance extremely well, keeps at distance well. I wouldn't be shocked if Alex Pereira sleeps Sean Strickland here. I don't think it's impossible. I'm leaning Alex Pereira by KO. I'm thinking it could be late in the fight. Second, third round, towards the end of the second maybe. Sean Strickland, I see getting caught, touched up here, and I do think he takes a tough loss in this one. His best bet is getting this fight on the floor. He needs it on the mat, and I think Pereira is takedown defense and is resilient, doesn't get put there, wins here. Pereira -112, Strickland +113. It's a pick'ems. Deservingly so. Alex Pereira's only 5-1, but this is elite martial arts. Like, his kickboxing is top of the line. You got wins over the current champion. He wins this fight, he might be fighting for that belt. And if he gets a KO, the stock jumps a ton. I'm going Alex Pereira, and I am going to do it by knockout over Sean Strickland. Let's jump to the co-main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Blessed Holloway. 3. We get to see these guys go at it a third time. The first one was 2.5 years ago, and then they fought just under 2 years ago. And now they run it back. Both guys, since that fight, have gotten back-to-back performance wins, like dominant quality wins. Volkanovski just beat Chan Sung Jung. I guess what's a more impressive resume? Beating Calvin Kattar and Yair or beating Brian Ortega and Chan Sung Jung? Truly, I think Holloway's beaten like the more impressive resume. I think that, Chan Sung Jung is not as impressive a win as Yair or Calvin Kattar. And I guess Brian Ortega's on par with both. And Brian Ortega's fighting Yair Rodriguez. So we're going to find out a lot there. I'm picking Alexander Volkanovski, and still, I think he's going to beat Max Holloway for the third time. And yes, I know as Max Holloway fans, it does suck because everybody loves Max Holloway. Who doesn't love him? The problem is I do think Volkanovski is just the tricky-ass style matchup. And I feel like he's got his number. Now, I do think Volkanovski's going to be touched up a bit. I think Max Holloway's going to be boxing him up a little, maybe even drop him. I think he's going to have great moments. And I think this is going to be like a 50-50 fight. If you're betting this fight, maybe don't. Because I feel like we're looking at another split decision. And I really think it could go either way. And look at this situation. If Alexander Volkanovski loses, we have to do a fourth fight, right? If he wins, then he 3-0'd Max Holloway. And if it's another split decision, then it's even worse, because then we might be seeing a fourth fight anyways in 2 years, because Max Holloway is going to keep winning and knocking at the door, because let's be honest, Max Holloway is right up there as the number 2 guy in the weight class. I just have a hard time seeing Volk lose at this point. He looks incredible. His power's looking on a different level. His physical strength is off the charts. His conditioning is A1. He's built like an absolute tank. And I'm going to pick him to win against Max Holloway again. I'm going to say decision for Alexander Volkanovski. I think he's going to close that distance well, chop at those low kicks. Even though Max Holloway is 5'11 and Volk is only 5'6, that reach is short for Holloway at only 69 inches, which I do think that shorter reach limits that boxing distance management, which would be a key method of victory, really, for Holloway over a Volkanovski. But I think Volk gets it done again. Volkanovski minus 177. Holloway plus 161. I like Alexander Volkanovski and still goes 3-0 against Max Holloway. And we'll all probably be sad for Max Holloway, but you got to be happy for Volk. This guy's a problem. And if he wins this fight, there's a good shot that he jumps up to 155. He's talked about it, and I'm not opposed. Let's jump to the main event of the evening. Israel Adesanya versus Jared Cannonier. Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe if you're new. This fight right here, I feel like is going to bring the best out of Israel Adesanya. I'm going Adesanya to win. I think Jared Cannonier is going to bring the fire to him and look to finish. Like, I feel like Adesanya's past couple, they've been technical decisions more so. I mean, he did have moments against Rob Whittaker hurting him badly, but it's been fights going long. Hasn't had that super impressive KO win in a while since the Paulo Costa fight. Jared Cannonier is a powerhouse. He's going to look to close distance, and he does it really well. Throws big shots, nice elbows inside too. He's a super dangerous guy overall. He's extremely explosive and athletic. Israel Adesanya definitely has much better range management and technical striking skills, but I do think Cannonier is the more explosive guy. Adesanya from range, I think, has a big edge. He's the longer guy, 6'4 to 5'11, 80-inch reach to 77.5. I think the low kicks will be a valuable aspect for Adesanya. Kicks to the body, straight punches. I feel like, though, Jared Cannonier is going to find ways inside, and he's going to touch up Adesanya a bit. This will bring out the best in Izzy, and I think Israel Adesanya is actually going to land some vicious punches here. And I feel like we're going to get an Adesanya KO. I'm going Israel Adesanya, 3rd round knockout over Jared Cannonier. And what I really feel like is going to bring the best out of both guys, truly, and it's going to be Izzy getting the hand raise and still champion. Looking at the lines, minus 333 for Adesanya, Cannonier plus 340. I think Izzy's going to look pretty smooth out there. I really do. From distance, he's got a big edge over Jared Cannonier, but I still think Cannonier's athleticism and explosiveness early is going to lead him to some successful moments, and I won't be shocked if Cannonier has a really good first round. I don't even know if he'll win the first round, but I could see him trying to start a bit fast and touch up Izzy with the hooks from the moment the fight begins, closing that distance, ripping to the body a bit. Adesanya then moving, trying to manage the distance, maybe getting caught against the cage a little bit, but then he starts getting in that ebb and flow. He counters Cannonier, and that's what I think leads to the knockout. I'm going Adesanya KO for the win. That is UFC 276. Super exciting card. I think it's an A card. I mean, it's worthy of some praise. We're going to see some great action on it. I hope you guys enjoyed another breakdown. Make sure you guys smash the hell out of the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn on those post notifications and make sure to share the video as well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you don't have anything to say, but you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the comments to boost that algorithm. Much love, my people. I'll see you all week long with more content that I will be dropping. Peace, guys, and have a great one.